Man, Valheim players, they just can't stop winning. Ever since its smash hit of 2021, each update since has been better than the last, overhauling systems, expanding existing biomes, and delivering all kinds of new environments to explore. Yes, definitely far slower than most would like, but nobody's perfect. At this point, Valheim is practically unrecognizable from how it appeared at launch, and the winning will not stop here, with the stage set for 2026 to be the best year in Valheim's long history. Today, I want to prepare you for Valheim's apex by recounting everything that has been added in Valheim since its inception, and most importantly, share what you can expect with its 1.0 release and concluding biome, the Deep North. If you're a fan of Valheim, you don't want to miss this. Mere months after its February 2021 release, the Iron Gate team dropped their first major update in Hearth and Home. While focused on balancing the food system, new content was delivered with the focal point being an expansion of the plains, with tar pits and the creature calling it home, growths. Tar drained from these pits became the foundation for new stylish Darkwood build pieces, but other helpful furniture like the comfort providing hot tub, multiplayer supporting cartography table, and garbage disposing obliterator. Not to mention new weapons and shields to play with. A saddle was also added for locks and a riding skill to support it, only which has been expanded upon in the Ashlands update coming years later in 2024. Before adding its first new biome in 2022, Iron Gate expanded both the swamps and mountains with the Abomination and Frost Cave drops. In a stealth patch closing out 2021, abominations were snuck into the swamps to emerge from the earth and surprise unsuspecting Vikings. To date, they might be the most stylistically fitting creature the dev team have ever produced. From the mangled root beast came the root armor, a medium set including the root harness chestplate, arguably the single best armor piece in the entire game. Not to be outdone by the Frostcave delivery in early 2022, which added procedurally generated dungeons scattered across the mountains. Inside came 3 new creatures in the Ulv, Cultist, and the bane of my existence in bats. From their loot gave us the speedy new Fenris set, still maybe my fave armor, and a new class of weapon in fists. And spoiler alert, this weapon class finally got some love in the game's most recent update just a couple months ago. Not to mention, like any good Valheim update, new decorations made their way into the game in jute carpets, curtains, and the standing brazier. Following the Frost Caves, the long-awaited first new biome was introduced since the game's inception in the controversial Mistlands. The existing placeholder biome was transformed from a web-covered landscape to a deep and mysterious cloud of fog. It came with all that you'd expect in a new boss, creatures, weapons, armors, foods, build pieces, crafting stations, but most importantly, a whole new combat style and magic with supporting gear, foods, and spellcasting staves. Fishing was also overhauled, receiving a skill, and the fish themselves were transformed from generic to biome-specific and given rarity levels from 1 to 5. And yet, the Mistlands received mixed reviews from players, with many citing the lack of visibility within the biome and stamina-draining cliff faces as a blight on the overall Valheiming experience. Despite this, it has grown on me over the past 2 years. In many ways, it's the most mechanically varied biome, most dense with content, and complemented with rewarding progression. I have learned to appreciate the rare moments when you find a break from the mist or peer above the clouds and seize those opportunities to take in the gorgeous and often overlooked landscape. And the winning just continued in 2023, with more players getting access to Valheim with its Xbox release. PlayStation, you might ask? More on that in a little bit. Naturally, it was not completely without new toys for players to enjoy, as the fishing hat was added for master fishermen to take advantage of the expansion to fishing the previous year. Rather than add a new biome that year, a new trader joined Haldor's ranks. With Hildir, players were given 3 quests to find dungeons and overcome their native mini-bosses in the Black Forest, mountains, and plains for treasure, enabling all kinds of role-playing clothing from her shop. With Hildir, Valheim became much more customizable with new hairstyles, beards, and a vast list of world modifiers, enabling players to tweak their worlds to their liking and allowing for different ways for Vikings to play their favorite game. 2024 slides right in next to 2022 as perhaps the most broadly impactful year in Valheim's development history, with 2 major updates dropping and the second new biome since the game's launch in the Ashlands. In this biome, you traverse the dangerous jutting rocks in the massive new Drakkar Viking ship, avoid terrifying bone serpents, and land in an ashen and unforgiving wasteland that has quickly gained a reputation as the most difficult biome to date. Alongside the usual new features expected in a new biome, new mechanics were introduced, making for a vastly unique experience. Fortresses find themselves as a focal point of the biome as key obstacles to conquer with siege weapons in the catapult and battering ram. Inside and across the Ashen Wasteland, players found the Charred to overcome and gather precious gemstones, which can be embedded in any Ashlands weapon for 3 unique elemental powers, allowing for the most weapon variety yet seen in any Valheim biome. Again, like the Mistlands before it, the Ashlands was received with mixed results, with many players citing its difficulty as a turnoff. Fortunately, the Iron Gate team have heard players, and the immense number of creatures in the biome have been reduced, making for a more balanced experience. Shortly after the Ashlands, Valheim continued to become available to even more players with a Mac release. Incredibly, 2024 was not complete as a surprise content drop came in October, delivering a brand new NPC, a vast new set of needs, and a further revamp to the food system with the Bog Witch. The cauldron was split into 3 with the addition of the preparation table, mead kettle, and new food items called feasts, craftable with ingredients purchased from the new swamp NPC. Further, new skills were added and various quality of life features delivered, like a scythe to harvest your crops and a serving tray to display your gourmet cooking, amongst so much more. Compared to 2024, 2025 may be a disappointment to many players, but the more I think about it, it might be one of the most interesting updates since Hearth and Home. Starting in April, Iron Gate launched their annual April Fool's joke videos, but this time one turned out to be real. Rocky, a new craftable pet rock item, was added and can now be placed if lucky enough to find the unique stone, most commonly found in meadows and Black Forest. This little guy will change his expression, can wear items, and will produce stone for you if paired with a partner. While tiny in scope, no doubt, I like the flavor of adding things like this to my games and rare things to pursue to complete my collection. The Call to Arms update, on the other hand, was not remotely close to small. In this update, many of the game's systems were completely overhauled and new content added to flesh out all the existing biomes. 2 new bears were added, one you might recognize, and another, not so much, found in the Black Forest and Plains, respectively. Naturally, new weapons and armors to go alongside them as well, highlighted by 2 new fist weapons, a class desperately underserved at this point. The boss's Forsaken powers were completely reworked, with effectively all receiving buffs, except maybe Bowmass. Sorry, buddy. The Burial Chamber's ghost now looks completely different, has a trophy, and drops ectoplasm, used to make a new target dummy for training your skills. Plus, Meadows got a new combat arena POI, and a set of wooden weapons can now be found across the game to collect. Best of all though, new powerful trinkets were added to each biome, except the Meadows, and an entirely new adrenaline system to master. Not to mention, parrying no longer requires stamina, dodging got a skill, and even fighting on slopes has been reworked to be easier and less frustrating to the common player. Despite not adding a new biome this year, the Call to Arms update fleshed out the existing Valheim experience and further emphasized the willingness from the dev team to change and expand the current content that I'm hoping may receive even more love with 1.0 on its way. Yes, I did say 1.0 is on the way, and it's all but been confirmed with a PlayStation release locked in with an announcement this past September to be launching in 2026. Now, I know this does not say 1.0 is definitely releasing next year, but PlayStation does have a policy not to release early access titles. Based on that, we can basically confirm that 1.0 will coincide with the PlayStation release in 2026. So what do we know about its 1.0 release, and what can we expect from Valheim next year? Fortunately, we know a heck of a lot more than we did this time last year. First and foremost, it will include the last biome in the far north of the map called the Deep North, and through a series of short trailers and dev blogs, details have been trickling in, revealing more about what to expect in the game's final biome. For creatures, we've seen 2, and I'll speculate on a third. The first being the seal that hints at star variants, with some shown with horns and others without. More devious, however, are the Elekang, both teased in a screenshot and pursuing Hervor Bloodtooth in this series of trailers. Third, while not confirmed, are the giant Jotun. These haven't been explicitly shown in any screenshots to date, but the devs have stated they want there to be a creature bigger than any seen previously, and that's perhaps hinted at here by the Jotunbane use in the teaser or the massive creatures in the background in the PlayStation release trailer. Please give us giants. I'm begging you, please. Please. Of course, you'll get a lot more than creatures with a first look at some of the new build pieces. Most recently, in both screenshots and trailer, we've seen abandoned villages that you'll find scattered across the biome, consisting of now confirmed 67-degree roof pieces that are going to come in both thatch and darkwood varieties. Moreover, this screenshot apparently shows a new piece of furniture, but You guys know I'm not much of a builder, so you might have to let me know in the comments which of these furniture pieces you think is new. As for weapons and armor, we haven't seen a whole lot of details aside from this sword, which to me appears to be made of gold. This leads me to believe that it might be the new progression metal for the biome. This theory is further reinforced by teased images of what I think are molds for, in this case, a shield, boots, and a bird's wing? I don't know. I expect we'll find some kind of furnace recipe that will allow us to melt our mined gold that will then craft molds to forge our new gear. But that wasn't all for crafting, as they also teased this loom, which I can only assume is the next Galder table upgrade, considering its placement next to the unfading candles. Aside from the deep north and all the new things that come with a new biome, I still would not be surprised if we get more content for existing biomes. The devs have stated their desire for this update to feel like a solid full release, which will also include things like Steam achievements and full mod support. I expect we'll see balancing changes made to weapons, armors, meads, forsaken powers, even the newly added trinkets. It's all on the table. Even better, an enhancement to the inventory system I think is on the way. Luma, one of the main people working on the game, took to Twitter to gauge the player base's appetite and crowdsource some ideas. Valheim's 1.0 has been a long time coming, and the expectations have never been higher, but I'm not discouraged by the weight of this release. Throughout the past 5 years, the devs have continued to deliver. Valheim players kept on winning, and I do not expect that to end anytime soon. Pat yourself on the back, Valheim fans, because 2026 is shaping up to be the best year in its 5-year history. It's safe to say, we won.